Hey friends, happy Thursday. Today is November 4th, 2021, and I am broadcasting from sunny Southern California. Let me know where you are tuning in from. This is the Healthy American Morning. And on this show, we talk about how to keep your head above the waves in the stormy seas of life. My goal is to add positive value to your life as you do to mine. I love our positive encouragement community here. You offer support, suggestions. I want to thank each and every one of you who took the time to email me about my kitty cat, Elsie. That was so sweet. I read every email and I thank you for your suggestions and advice. Many of you said to go on the raw food diet, and I am willing to try that. You know, I used to always feed my dog Teddy raw food. And I do a freeze-dried type of raw food now, and she absolutely loves it. And I also have something else called Nom Nom, Nom. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but they also provide food for Teddy, and I may try their cat food as well. So thank you so much. You also told me stories about your pets and pets that you've lost, and I want to let you know you are not alone in your sorrow. I know that loss of a beloved family member, and it doesn't matter that they have fur and 4 feet, because that love is a deep bond. We are going to be talking about life after loss in upcoming shows, so we'll definitely tackle that. Today, we're going to talk about boundaries and freedom. Yes, freedom is a favorite word of mine. And before we do that, I want to cue up the message I have for the sponsor of today's show. And we are going to hop on over. Give me one moment. We're going to go to glowwithpeggy.com. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me 30 seconds. And I have this very important message for you. Thank you, everyone, for your great feedback on this product. You know, as far back as history can track, humans have tried to reverse aging. I count myself in that category. We hate seeing our faces age. And while some solutions do work, most of them fall short. However, for myself and thousands of others, we have successfully watched our skin look and feel younger. Our secret is called Glow with Peggy. This product seems to be the only anti-aging serum out there that really works out of the dozens that I've tried. 3 things have happened since I started taking it. First, my skin has appeared firmer, and second, my complexion has brightened, and third, my skin has become softer and smoother. So you can use glowwithpeggy.com and get your glow back, and that is www.glowwithpeggy.com, or I will have a link for you in the description box below, and you can click that to get 38% off of your order today. And of course, don't forget those Black Friday sales as well. Here we go, friends. It is the Healthy American Morning. I was about to say Peggy to the rescue. Peggy to the rescue is 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Be sure to tune in today. We are going to be talking about Amtrak. So those of you that hopped on board with me this morning because you needed help with your religious exemptions, please watch my playlist of over 100 educational videos. I have heard from so many of you writing me cards and letters saying that you use that free information and it helped you. I'm going to be reading a card, an encouragement card from a wonderful Healthy American at the end of today's show. So stay tuned for that. Also, tomorrow, I'm going to do a bonus call all about Facebook. Yes, I'm going to talk about the Facebook form that they are asking their employees to fill out. I think it is a 3-way tie between Kaiser, Amtrak, and Facebook. And I'm going to have to say, let me know in a comment below which one you think is the worst. I know, here I go talking about political topics when that's not the concept of the show, but I wanted to let you know there's a bonus live stream tomorrow at 3 p.m. Friday. And let's dive in. I want to dive into helping you find more freedom. Of course, we're all about health freedom and our own freedom of choice. But did you know that when you choose boundaries, that can actually create more freedom in your life? Boundaries are simply limits, and these are limits that we can create for ourselves. Boundaries, for some of us, may seem very selfish, very limiting, very imposed, very artificial, kind of claustrophobic, like, oh, boundaries. I felt that way myself for many years. And I wasn't even interested in all of that, psychological babble, as I called it, I thought, I'm just living my life. I'll figure it out. I'll work it out on my own. When I read this book called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud, and I actually was trained in part through a series of educational videos that were a part of a live program that my husband, Pastor David, and I went through for Christian lay counseling. And what that means is we are trained as encouragement coaches, basically. We are not licensed therapists or psychotherapists or psychiatrists or psychologists or anything like that. So none of this that I'm giving you is anything more than some suggestions from a caring friend. And that's how I hope you will take the spirit of this. Take what you like, discard the rest, use your own life experience. Let me know about your own life experience. And I would love to hear from you as well. Thank you, Rhonda, for being on board. Yes, I know, Rhonda, I started talking about religious exemptions. So I got that chat off and running. But from here on out, tune in at 3 p.m. because I'm not going to answer those questions here. So you can ask them, but they won't be answered. But they have been answered. That's the amazing thing. I've already answered your questions. I've already answered your questions about 100 times. And I'm serious because I want you to have the information. People have told me when they binge watch my videos, that's the best way to learn. So start with the most recent, work your way back. And I promise you're going to learn everything you need to know to handle these tyrants. There, end of political discussion this morning. Are we good? We are good. I'm going to set boundaries on that. And that's what Rhonda's doing. She's setting a healthy boundary so that, hey, friends, this is what we're doing. And this is what we've decided. And if you don't want to do that, well, then that's okay. You go do something else. As I talked about yesterday, we cannot control other people. So we cannot control what people comment, what they say, what their comments are, what their thoughts are, what their actions, their emotions, their feelings. That's not something that you can control. Isn't that amazing? Once you realize that you are not responsible for someone else's feelings, you are not responsible for what they're thinking. You are actually not even responsible for their actions. Think about your own self. Oh my gosh. I would like to have more self-control in some of my actions, like that little half of a donut that I had this morning that my husband bought some donuts. Like, I don't really want a donut. Well, I'll just have a little bite. Well, I'll have one more little bite. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even control my own actions. How in the world am I going to control someone else's actions? And I'm using that sort of as a lighthearted example because we see that in our daily life. We are trying to control our own thoughts, our own feelings. Well, I'm speaking for myself. I like to ask myself, what am I thinking and why? Why am I thinking this? Why do I have a thought that this bad thing might happen? Why am I choosing that? Why don't I choose a different thought that this good thing might happen? Or when I think about memories, why am I choosing to focus on that awkward and uncomfortable and unlikable experience I had? Why don't I focus on a memory that's happy and makes me feel better? You have the choice and the control to choose your thoughts. And that's part of what we work on here. That is also a biblical principle, which is take every thought captive, analyze it, say, why am I thinking this? And if you want to think those things, that's fine. All I am offering here is for you to develop a greater sense of awareness. We talked all about emotions in previous shows, how you are aware of your emotions, you accept your emotions, you allow your emotions, and you work through them and you process them appropriately through physical means, through speaking, through applying what you've learned. So we have that superpower. When we control what we're thinking, then our emotions and our outlook and our attitude about the situation can change. So we look at boundaries. One thought might be, boundaries are artificial and they're limiting, and I don't have any elbow room and they're so restrictive, and I just like to be free. I would just want to make choices and be free. That's one way of looking at boundaries. I have another way of looking at boundaries. Boundaries help me experience freedom because it's very clear what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do, and what I will agree to and not agree to, and what I will participate in and not participate in, and what I will allow, that's kind of a strong word, from others. We spoke yesterday, a simple example of if you have a loved one who's always late, instead of berating them, and you say, here's what I'm going to do moving forward. We'll agree on a time to leave, and I'm going to leave at that time. And if you're not ready to go, that's all right, because I'm going to be leaving, and then you can just take care of yourself, and they'll have to find their own way. And the first, maybe even second, maybe even the third time that happens, your loved one is going to be chagrined and outraged and might even yell. And you're going to say, well, sweetheart, this is what we agreed to. I'm leaving at this time. And after a while, they will notice that these are your boundaries. You still have no control over their reaction. That's not possible. How is that possible? It's not possible. So the book Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud has so many wonderful suggestions, a deep dive, explanations, examples, how-tos, and I hope that you will get that book. My view of boundaries has changed from being one that was restrictive and limited to one of freedom. And that's because it's very clear in my mind, and I don't have to go back and forth with the decision making. So if I know that I'm going to, my boundary or my, and maybe you want to use another word like my choice, my schedule, my preference. You can use another word if you don't like that word, boundaries. My preference and my choice, and what I've decided to do in my life is, if I have a special event on a day where I'm speaking, that's going to be the only thing I'm doing. I'm not going to take another counseling call. I'm not going to have a YouTube video and then I have to rush off and get to the event. I am going to dedicate myself to that event that I've agreed to do. So the other thing I talked about was boundaries and obligations. I believe we talked a little bit about that. And that was all about respect and dignity. And when I have obligated myself to do something, I don't back out. I don't back out from it. So even if something better comes up, or even if at the last minute, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to do that after all. Well, I've already agreed to myself, and I've made the plan and I've made the choice that I am not going to back out on my word. This is a beautiful boundary because that makes me think very, very carefully before agreeing to anything, because I know that backing out is not an option. It helps me operate honestly. Sometimes I agree to things, maybe you do the same, because I don't want to hurt someone's feelings. Oh, they really wanted me to go. Oh, well, they really need this. Well, I said, that's all good and well. You get to choose whether you are going to obligate yourself to that or not. Once you do, relax, let it go. You're obligated. You're going to follow through. Life is easy, and there is a sense of freedom. Otherwise, you're back and forth in your mind. Oh, should I call him? Should I tell him something else came up? And then you're not operating with dignity and respect for yourself and for others. So that's another example of how boundaries create freedom. And I can look at it even with my daily work schedule, or maybe household responsibilities that you have. And I used to think, when I worked for a long, many, many, many years, I've had many different jobs in my life. And there was a period of time when I was employed by someone else. I was working for the University of California, for example, and I had a set schedule, and I had to go because that was my obligation, and I wanted to fulfill that out of duty and respect and integrity. When I started to work for myself, I didn't want to set a work schedule. I thought, I'll just wake up, see how the day unfolds, and I'll just roll with the day, and I'll just live in freedom. It will be so free to just live and see what comes up. For me, friends, that was not freedom whatsoever. It was a free for all, and it was kind of messy, and it was not very efficient, and it was not very productive. And I actually felt like life was complicated and messy. When I started to create systems and structures with a type of boundary around what I was doing, it was actually easy, because I knew, for example, I mean, this is just an example. My schedule is changing. Well, here's an example. We have beach church the first Sunday of every month. The first Sunday of every month, we have beach church. I hope you're going to come out and see us, 11 a.m., North Beach, San Clemente. Pastor David and I had, at one point, had attempted to have the beach church every Sunday, which was very difficult for us to do, given the number of speaking engagements I have and travel out of town and our own obligations and our own counseling and just life. And it was like, wow, that is something that's going to be difficult for us to do. Plus, over this last year and a half, we found that more and more people were going back to their in-person churches that had been closed. Uh, and they were like, oh, we'd love to come see you once a week. It worked out great that we have beach church once a week. That is a boundary that we've set. And we know it. It's on the calendar. We're going to be there. There was one time that we switched it to a Saturday, but it was the Saturday right before the Sunday. And that was because it was my birthday and we had a birthday party. Anyway, that is a boundary. Could we do every other Sunday? Could we do 4 Sundays a month? Yes, we could, but that's not what God has asked us to do. I don't want to neglect talking about prayer in setting your boundaries and doing your decision making. Decision making is a topic for another time. I think we'll talk about decision making next week. It is a part of boundaries, but it has its own structure, and I have some really interesting tips for you about decision making. These are things that I've used in my life that have helped me so much. Many of us can get bamboozled, and we just get frozen and we panic and we don't know what the decision is to make. So I've got some things that I can help you with about decision making. Let me know in a comment below, have you experimented? Have you implemented boundaries? Have you felt a sense of freedom from those boundaries? Because it's clear you don't have to keep going back and forth, back and forth. Let's say that there's a family member that maybe you don't want to visit that often, and you say to yourself, okay, one Thursday a month we're going to go visit, and I feel good about that, and I've made that. And maybe it's not a Thursday, but you say once a month we get together. You've set a boundary. I remember once I was in a group of people, and one of the individuals was getting really angry and just raising their voice and just getting angry. And I thought, oh, this is really uncomfortable. The family member got up and actually left, just completely left, got in the car and drove away. And I'm like, and they were visiting, but I was like, wow, that is a strong boundary. You cannot prevent the person from getting angry, but you can get up and you can leave, and you can tell them in advance. If you flip your lid, like how how I get on my rants, and you blow your stack. I just wanted to let you know that I will be leaving because I don't care for that type of public outburst. That's far different than saying, don't you ever, if you get upset again. They're responsible for their behavior. You're responsible for your behavior. So there's freedom in that. You don't have to go back and forth. You don't have to argue. You've already said what you're going to do. Well, Peggy, what if they get mad at me for doing that? Well, that's another situation that requires communication. And I will be telling you all about my communication skills program that I have. It's called Tell Me More. And there are ways that can be mitigated, but that's assuming that you're dealing with a normal person. And when I say normal, I mean someone who doesn't have psychological problems that might need professional help. But a reasonable person you'll be able to have these conversations with, and hopefully, as time goes on, improving. All right. Hey, Erin is a concierge member. Wonderful. Nice to hear that. And I appreciate you being on board. Cheryl says she likes structure and she needs a home base. And isn't that nice? It is. I feel the same way, Cheryl, that it gives me a sense of comfort, of ease, of trust. I can relax. Let's see. Well, friends, the reason we're here, I know some of you are here because you are hurting and you're coming here for support. And I really do appreciate that. And that is what I want to offer. My goal is to offer positive value to your life. And so many of what we are going through, so much of what so many of us are going through has to do with the lack of boundaries. So thank you for asking about my kitty cat. I really appreciate that. She's doing better and she seems to have energy. She's extremely thin. She's constantly ravenous, which is why I thought she had a thyroid problem. We took her to the vet. That's not what she has. My other kitty had a thyroid issue, completely cleared up now, and she's like a little loaf of bread. She's plump and soft and healthy. And somehow our other little kitty is suffering from this kidney disease. But I thank all of you for your wonderful support. I'm going to end here by reading this beautiful card. And this came from my friends in Texas. And Bobby and Sarah. And I love hearing from you, friends. And I decided I'm going to be reading and sharing these cards because they're encouragement cards. And I want you to get the encouragement as well. So here's what we have. She said, Dear Pastor David and your wife, Peggy, you are so valuable on earth, especially while this negativity is around the world. But good things. Many humans are turning to dear Lord and becoming obedient to God. Prayer is more than ever. People are coming together and seeing the truth. Always try to look for the positive. Good versus evil. Always stay with Jesus. Keep our body temples pure as possible for the Holy Spirit. She said, we listen faithfully and we have done so to your education since the very beginning. I have lived in many countries as the dear Lord wishes me to, helping many children of all ages as well as adults. Last week, my husband got info at work. Of course, he's going to do the religious exemption. I must write to say thank you for all you both do for all of us and everywhere. Peggy, your positive energy is so delightful. You are full of truth and education, as is Pastor David. God bless both of you each day and keep you safe. We filled out our paperwork for Bobby's work. We'll let you know what happens. Sarah and Bobby. So we want to pray for them, and I am praying for all of you. And she said again, a beautiful picture of them. If you're ever in Texas, we are just outside Austin, and we would love for you to stay at our home. She said, I am a teacher, and now I am a holistic medical researcher. Isn't that awesome? Her husband is an engineer. I love hearing from you, friends. I hope that those words of encouragement will be a blessing to you. Stay tuned for 3 p.m. I'm going to talk so those of you that were chomping at the bit, 3 p.m., I'm going to be talking all about these outrageous questions that Amtrak is asking of their employees. Tomorrow, Friday, 3 p.m., a special event. I have to make sure I have that time available. My calendar is so packed. Yes, we've got our concierge program tomorrow at 12 noon. And if you want to sign up, please do so. We've already had one call, but you get the recordings of all the calls. And then following that, I'm going to talk all about Facebook. You're not going to believe Facebook. I think they have, whoever wrote the questions is in the wrong job, right? They need to hire somebody who actually is competent. Whoever wrote the questions for Facebook needs to have a different job because they have no idea what they're doing. It's like they just went on the internet and typed out some questions. I have no idea where they came up with these. It is, out of all the companies, and I've worked with, okay, I know we're getting into the end of our show, and I just want to show everybody really quickly, since there were so many of you asking, but I wanted to let you know, when you go over to thehealthyamerican.org and you hop on over to religious exemptions, I just want to leave you with your homework. For those of you that were asking, watch these videos right here. These are the most important videos, this one here, and these, you can watch them on double speed. And then look at all the people that we've helped. All of these agencies, and more. Out of all of these, we've helped OSHA, we've helped Netflix, Verizon, Northrop Grumman, FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, LA City Attorney's Office. Out of all the people that we've helped and all these forms that I've seen, Facebook is the worst. Facebook is absolutely the worst, even worse than Kaiser, worse than Southwest. It is that you are not going to believe what I'm going to share with you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Today, I'm going to share an equally outrageous form from Amtrak. And even if you don't work for the railroad, I want you to tell everybody to join me at 3 p.m. today, 3 p.m. tomorrow. That's Pacific. If you want to be in the concierge program, thank you to those of you that are. That is tomorrow, noon Pacific. Plus, you get all of the recordings, all of the information during this month, all of the remedies and resources. We do a deep dive. And my goal, along with my husband, Pastor David, is to help you shine the light of God's truth. And part of how you can do that is to stand strong, not let anyone take over your body temple. And I'm also going to do a breakdown of the new OSHA temporary standards that are going to be published tomorrow. I've already done a deep dive of research on that. I won't be able to speak too much about that on this public platform because I will be censored. and they will take me down. I know because they take down uh, my videos when I speak about OSHA, and they give me a strike, and then I can't come to you at all. So that will be at peggyhall.tv. Yes, I'm on Rumble. Yes, I'm on BitChute. Yes, I'm on all those channels. But the deep dive, uncensored stuff is over at peggyhall.tv. So I hope you will join me there as well. As always, thank you, everybody. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You're smart, savvy, supportive. And yes, I'm snarky. I know sometimes, but that's all in good fun. And I really appreciate you being here this morning. And I can't wait to see you in the very next